The answer is take the win and run. I get hung up on certain things. I have OCD, Jake.
I mean, hi guys, my name's Jeff. I'm an equal opportunity lover. You guys know that.
But wouldn't the dog want to stay on the meat wagon?
You say you can convince the dog to hop off.
That's insane.
Yeah, I'm intelligent.
That's such a Jeff answer right there. He's handsome, curly-haired, and Jewish, sitting right here. Jeff, you are a golden retriever.
Hey, Jake, that's what you kids call that drip, right?
It was good despite the gastric consequences, but call me the crystal ball here, man. I'm getting everything right except my own picks. That's really, to me, a battle of two of the coaches with the best hair.
Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Founded in 2013, the EHL is your next step on the path to college. Over the past decade, the EHL has established itself as the college placement leader on the East Coast. And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Thanks, Jim. With that, let's bring in Jake and Jeff. Guys, for this week's podcast warmies, it's the new name for them, right? If Chase headbutts me off camera, can we still issue the penalty? Because I showed you guys before we got on. I got a cut. I got a cut across the nose last night, but according to head official Vicky, it's off camera, so there's no penalty.
So is she thinking it didn't happen? Or we?
I think we can recognize from the cut that it took place, but
yeah, you're not going into the bathroom and just giving yourself a little 1-2 combo, right?
But she's saying it could have been off your own stick. You never know. It's like it's not.
Do you have cameras in your house? I feel like you're a house camera person.
Well, we have a few. We have a Furbo that shoots dog treats, so that's one. You never heard of those before, Jake?
No.
Oh my god. I'm gonna hand Jake my phone in the regionals. He's gonna be shooting Nash dog treats the entire game.
Nash could be full. I've had 22 pounds of dog treats today.
You can also activate the microphone so you can talk through the Furbo camera.
Yep.
Oh, have you ever freaked out Nash from distance using that?
Yes, definitely.
Oh my god, I would mess with so many people. I would hide it in the corner of a room when cleaning people were in the house and just be like, "I'm trying to get you" or something crazy. So you just freak the people out.
So the Furbo actually is in between the trophies behind me. So here's your old man laugh of the week. I'm a relatively loud sneezer. Okay, so he's already laughing, right? So recently, because the Furbo's right here, I sneezed and we got an alert on my phone and obviously Vicky's phone that said your dog is barking. And Vicky texted me and goes, "How is the dog barking when the dog's not home?" Well, I just sneezed. So with that, we'll start previewing the regionals with Around the E Show.
Let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
I will say it does feel a little bit different on this April 1st this year, guys, because April 1st last year, we were done. Jeff, I love my symmetry. We ended right on the final day of March last year, turn over to April, kind of the new season.
Yep.
Turn over to April this year, and we're just days away from the regional finals. And we used the word inevitable a lot last year with kind of a breakdown of what took place in the playoffs. And while the remaining teams, you could say, felt a little inevitable with the way that they were all playing going into the postseason, it wasn't an easy route for any of these four teams starting in the EHL to get to where they are now.
So that was something that I wanted to talk about as we let off here, Neil. So three minds thinking alike as always, because you look at some of the brackets, right? Love the brackets. Justin did an awesome job with those. Just click on the easternhockeyleague.org website, scroll down, EHL, EHLP brackets, boom, click that. And you can follow along with us. But you look at some of these, right? The Avalanche winning 2-0 over Vermont. That first game went into overtime. So if that goes the other way, maybe that goes 3 games. Providence and HCRI played each other tough. So yeah, for those two to get to the frozen finals or the regional finals rather on that side, that was not as easy as it looked. Going to dig into the Express of the Seahawks. How could that have been any closer? Right. And then 87's Philly was also really close. So yeah, you look at some of those and you see obviously the 87's and Philly was the only 3-game series out of those 4, but the other 3 were a lot closer than the 2-0 it says.
And I know, Jake, the word of the phrase sweep, or it's a sweep, is what took place for all these series, but they weren't sweeps. Like these were close series.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like a 2-0 sweep is very different than like a 4-0 sweep.
Yes,
And I've
exactly.
watched Carolina do that to the Islanders, a couple of times. So like that Express Seahawks series, especially, like to call that like a sweep kind of undermines like really what happened in that game, because we were together for game one
Yep.
and the Seahawks were the better team.
Yes.
They had two chances shorthanded at the end of the second period of game one. And if they bury, that could have been a very different hockey game.
Yeah.
How
Of course it was.
real quick, how playoffs ish is it too of calling Gabriel as did you have anyone have him as the anytime goal scorer?
No, I mean he hadn't scored a goal all year, right?
Exactly.
I was actually on the
3
air.
and 1 this year, right?
He
Jake?
had he had one.
Yeah.
Empty
He has
netter.
two.
Empty netter.
He had 2 in 55 career regular season games.
Yes. I was actually on the air with Jake for that goal, Jeff. I went down for game one and I joined Jake on the air. Third period, thinking back on it, kind of a risky play by me to jump on the air at that time. Like it could have
Nothing. You
if
jumped
it
on.
had gone to
I'm just gonna
overtime, Jake, would you have asked me to stay?
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay. I mean, that could have taken a long time.
Yeah, no, the Express track record would indicate that probably should have taken a long time, but yeah, it just didn't that time.
Yes. And kind of just a seeing eye shot from the point that just found a way. And right before that, the Seahawks obviously had a goal called back in there too. I think everybody knew in the building though that was played with a high stick. So yeah, obviously 4 different routes to get here, but just to highlight the one team first, the 87s are the one team that does have a loss on their record. Now, every team, we just talked about the challenge it was to get to where they are, but with that one blemish, does that help them at all?
I mean, I don't know. This time of year, you got plenty of blemishes, right? If you add up your regular season losses, I guess, because you know what it's like to not win every playoff game, and I guess that can change your mindset a little bit. But we all know Coach Woolley and the gang down there, and I don't think it has too much weight on it, if you want to say. But Jake, I don't know if you agreed or disagree with that.
I think there's got to be some benefit to it, because if you're in 3-game series, all it takes is one game to have your backs against the wall. So when you're going into sudden victory game 3,
right, silly
you
name.
can't say sudden death anymore.
I still say it. Whoops, what?
Yeah, no, sudden death is the way to go.
Thank you, my boy. Appreciate you.
A game 3 situation, like both teams have their backs against the wall, and that's it for both teams. So I do think it's good for the 87s to have been in that desperate position before, whether they felt desperate or not, because of how simply talented they are is a different matter. But they had their backs up against the wall, and the other teams that are with them can't say that.
For sure, you could say that the other teams have never faced that. They've never been in the game where if they don't win, it's all over. And with how short these series are, come Friday night, we're going to have 2 teams drop game 1 and say, hypothetically, it's not the 87s. The 2 teams that do won't have been in that feeling all year. So just to start diving into that first Mid-Atlantic series, which we start there because they get the half-hour head start on the Northeast, right? That one starts at 4 at the P game starts at 4 o'clock on Friday, as opposed to 4:30 up at Plymouth State. The 87s did play Providence this year. It was all the way back on October 4th. Number 48 wasn't there.
Yes, that was back when the 87s were allergic to scoring goals.
Yeah, they were still trying to figure it out. They still had bus legs.
Like, can you take anything from that game?
No.
I don't know.
The 87s also played really well that game. They just they played well that whole showcase. They just they had
allergies.
Allergic to the old goal scoring.
Yes.
No, Jake, that's like you said too, Jake. There was no Leikoff, and also Florentine Falipushis didn't play either. It was Dylan Gorman that got the start that day. Was Caden Clegg on the other side? Who had a
there was no Aiden Raddick. There was no Aiden
William
Raddick for
Raddick.
Providence.
Wow.
But Kelly did score,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so he was there. Maddox Watson scored. Croon had an assist. So some guys were there, but
That
it was
feels
so long ago.
long ago. I was just
I
gonna
think
say
I
that
called
shit.
that game. I can't even remember if I did or not at this point. I'm like 7 billion games into the year.
Do you
I
keep
think it's
track of like all your games?
No, Christina's been telling me to do that for years, and I don't. I mean, I could go back in my Google Calendar that everything's in and just kind of add it up at the end of the year, but no,
Like how many games do you work? I guess is the question. Like how many hockey games do you work?
a lot.
It has to be over 100.
Has to be over 100. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say.
Damn.
Yep.
But
Yep.
that's the first series. Looking at it from the Capitals' perspective, 4 games, 2 games apiece for each goalie. Who do you give game 1?
I don't know. I was looking at that. Hansen and Clegg have both been unbelievable. And it's crazy because we've talked about this for years, right? There's been other goalie tandems for years that we've said, who are they going to start? Is it going to be 1A, 1B? Do you go back and forth? But to credit Jeff Perot, he really has gone back and forth with Hansen and Clegg. I don't know. Do you go Clegg because he's played him once this year? He shut him out.
And this is where these series are
Maybe.
so short so that all right, so let's look at it from both perspectives. You choose a goalie, you choose 1A or 1B because they really have split the entire
They literally
time.
have been. Yeah.
You win game 1, do you keep the rotation?
There you go.
You lose game 1, but then win game 2, do you keep the rotation? Like I know
Right.
we'll get to the East and there's a certain goalie of the year that has been told to me he's playing every game and that's it. Even though they have a great backup, that team in Walpole, but this is where it gets. These series are so short, and now you're traveling to a neutral site venue. The coaching decisions are just magnified at this point.
I think we're going to talk about a goalie later that hasn't allowed a goal in the playoffs, but neither has Caden Clegg.
Yeah.
So
2 starts.
I think he's your game 1 guy, in my opinion. And after that, that's where it becomes difficult. Because I mean, Clegg's got the game 1 both times. He's got shutouts in both of them, right? Like, just do that again. I think that's where it becomes awfully difficult. If Legcop's quiet in game 1 and a big reason is Caden Clegg, I think you just go right back to Caden Clegg.
I was just gonna say that if he can continue this streak, shutting down the best team that you faced so far, can you break a pattern like that? If you're the Capitals.
True. It's true.
I think I'm averaging 3 points a game in the playoffs right now. 15 points in 5 games. That's
what is it? Unstoppable force versus immovable objects.
Yes.
Caden Clegg 0 goals against. Alexander Legkov just unstoppable.
Something has to give, right?
Something will end on Friday.
Those stats reminisce Bathtub Jake on Twitch. finally dug into that last week, and I got a lot of frozen.
Yeah,
just died, and
we'll be
I
back.
tried, my man. I tried.
We'll be back. All right.
We'll be back too. We got you.
I guess I don't know. We're trying to play Seahawks kids, and I guess they just don't have internet on the Cape this time of year. I don't know.
Oh, just letting you know,
Wow.
we as your friends, we heard your rant last week. We took it to heart, and we all showed up.
Yeah, I tuned in the week before, but it's all good. Anyways.
Neil's an extra good friend.
87's Capitals, obviously a great series. I think we talked about it. We probably started talking about it in like October, November-ish, when the 87 started to get hot at the end of October. For Coach Hooley, an alum of Trinity, to be back now in that building coaching, probably pretty cool. One thing to watch for in this series that none of our teams have ever had, is the benches are on opposite sides of the rink. Our teams have never had that in our league. And obviously the home bench has the penalty boxes right next to it. I can't imagine it's that big of an advantage, but it's an advantage. You get a little extra space over the other guy. So
yeah, I guess. It gives you the feel of how it's going to be in college, coming up too, I guess. So
yeah,
gives you a little taste.
Yeah. So something to watch for in that series. And then I use the word inevitable because going back to the final day of the regular season and just that war that was the Express versus the Avalanche, down in Philly. I don't know if it felt inevitable, but I think we wanted to see that matchup again. So the Express obviously won 2 of the 3 times against the Avalanche in the regular season. And now they get this playoff series with a trip to Providence on the line. I mean, this is going to be an absolute dogfight at Plymouth State.
Jake, you take this away because you are the Waffle Express heartbeat.
I'm nervous about the foundation of the building. Like, I just don't know if we're going to be able to, if we're ever going to be allowed back at a college venue after this series. There's emotion, there's hatred. This is not like a very friendly series we're going to be seeing here.
No, and I don't think it's like hate. I think it's they're strong rivals, and there's a hatred in wanting to beat the other guy, right?
Competitive juices, kind of.
Like, I think
is there truly a hate?
I think there's just a hate in the wanting that pride of winning. I mean, every hit is going to be huge in this series. I would imagine, and I have no problem saying this, there is going to probably be a moment when we between the two coaches at some point in this series, in between benches, because I think
Peppers get a little hot.
Oh, listen, they coached together in the college series. Like, this is like
kind of new dog, old dog. You know, Chris Rowe, been around a long time. Dakota, newer guy on the block.
And we know that last game of the season was very personal for both sides.
Yes, that was for the regular season title. It's crazy that game determined who's got home ice twice in this game, or the last change, if you will, right? And we know, as I kind of teased this earlier, Koenig's playing. This is his series. It's his net, right? For the Avalanche, is it interesting that they went to Seagrave for both games against Valley, and then Girard for both games against Vermont? So obviously it feels like this is going to be Girard's net now, game 1, but dive into this, guys. I mean, why do you think, compare it to Providence, right? Where they went every other. It was every other series for these goalies.
I mean, it must have been some kind of matchup-based thing that Chris Sorella saw, maybe, but kind of, can we say ballsy? We have to goal horn that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that was a very masculine move by Chris Sorella if he did that, to kind of look at, I like this matchup for this goalie better, and then we'll get to this round because you got to win that round before you can get to the next matchup, right? But maybe it was something like that he just liked one goalie's numbers versus a team better than the other.
Yeah.
Or style.
Girard hasn't beaten the Express. He played all 3. The Express never saw Seagraves in the regular season. I don't know if that is like a trick up the sleeve for Coach Sorella, but Alex Girard was really good against Vermont. He was great in game 1, which I was there for. So I don't know. Chris Sorella knows. He knows what he's doing. There's no doubt about that. But we're able to just decipher the Express so easy. It's like, oh, you have the best goalie in the league. I think he'll probably be your game 1 start. Like, that's as far as the analysis goes for Alex Koenig. Well, on the other side, I don't know if Chris feels like that's an advantage for him as well, having that question mark for the Express.
Yeah, and you wonder, you win game 1 or you lose game 1 on the Avalanche side, do you go to the other goalie? We don't know. Like, that one is more, if the Capitals keep alternating, we could say, all right, the pattern continued. For the Avalanche, it is unpredictable.
Well, that's always been like the conversation in all like areas of hockey, right? When it comes to like bouncing goalies, because it's the, did you lose faith in this guy? You're going to lose the locker room / conversation. Yeah. Or does the team just believe in both guys so it doesn't matter? Yeah,
for sure.
Which might be the case here.
This is where I wish we had like the morning skates, and then we could send Jake in like with like unmarked clothing, and then he could tweet from like an anonymous account, so and so first off the ice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I already have a whole bank of names I could potentially use for those accounts.
Oh yeah, we know that. We know that.
Is there, we covered a lot of names with the other series. Is there a name that's under the radar, X factor, that could, this one where I'm already in my head saying it's going to game 3 Sunday. Like,
Let's do it. Like, we need it.
I gotta be honest, I already looked at the ref assignment for game 3 just to mentally prepare myself for that, right?
Wow.
And maybe it doesn't, right? But who's that? Is there one guy that helps push what should be this very tight, very contested series over the edge? Someone like a Colin Gabriel that scores a goal out of nowhere. Jake's got it.
I mean, for the Express, for me, it's Charlie Vukovic.
Ooh.
He assisted every single goal in the Seahawks series. There wasn't a lot of them,
Oh.
obviously, but he had his hand on every single one.
Yeah.
And the Express have not scored a ton in the postseason, and they're not given up a ton in the postseason. But Vukovic is a guy who has gotten just better and better as the seasons have gone on. And for the Avalanche, I like AJ Gazzardi a lot. He's maybe a quieter forward that gets a little bit overlooked on that team, but he is one of the fastest players in this league. He's got Jordy's on the year, and is a very good player that can give the Express D some fits. He is a good player.
Yeah, love it.
For the Avalanche, what if we say a kid that had a brother that played in this league? Let's do Ryan Dan.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a surprising veteran type leading defenseman in his age out year, going to Wilkes next year. Guy had 22 points in the back end, so he's busy. He activates, had 2 assists in the first round. But in all seriousness, maybe he has some conversations with his brother that played on the biggest stage and was able to, move on and has had a great college career too. So maybe it's someone like that, not like a LC Tremblay, Jake Hines. That's an easy one. Of course, he's going to be there. He's going to produce. Ben Carfor, of course, he's going to produce. And then flip side, Brissett, he's going to be there. Miles Kidd, our boy, he's going to be there. So yeah, maybe it is another Colin Gabriel. Maybe it's a Lode Arts. It's another depth guy that's going to kind of sneak one in, a greasy one late that will help. I think it's going to be, I would take the under on all these games too, right? They have to be of the lower scoring variety, you guys say?
Yeah, I would think so. And for those that want to go do the quick research, I got it for you right here. Kyle Dan, 2023 EHL postseason, 12 points in 8 games. So
Boom.
Playoff performer.
Yes, he was huge.
It's in the bloodline.
Huge that postseason. So 2 just great for our regional final series. Capitals 87s, Express Avalanche. Like when we get to the AFC and NFC championship games in football every year, and they show like the graphic of like all the potential matchups out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could see any of these, right? Avalanche 87s, Avalanche Capitals Express. That's probably, take away Rhode Island, that's probably as close as 2 teams could be to each other in the league, Capitals Express. So I think any of those matchups are definitely possible. So now moving to the EHLP, I mentioned Mid-Atlantic is starting first, and we didn't know. It's actually funny. The EHLP didn't get determined until yesterday. Jake, one more playoff trip for you yesterday. You're putting the miles in this postseason. We do have to say.
Yeah. This been the Jake Mobile has seen better days.
But
those oil changes up. Check those brake pads. Check your tires. The little maintenance, my son.
I just got new brakes.
That helps. That helps with stopping,
Good
obviously.
Yes.
So, free ad though. A big reason why you went to Game 3 Wolves versus Adirondack was because of the sandwich that you got.
Yeah, there's like a farm to table place in the town of Laconia. It's called Trillium Farm to Table. Got like a steak sandwich with like a homemade tomato jam, some herb cheese. It was really good. I go there every time I go to Laconia. But when the Express were there in January, it was closed. It's closed on like Wednesdays for some reason, which is bizarre. But most importantly, I nailed a parallel park first try in the town of Laconia. I haven't done that since my driver's test.
It was like crazy. Nobody saw it, but awesome. I'm happy for you.
It was so sick. Yeah, everybody on the street was talking about it. Yeah,
it was like Chase's penalty to Dad's face earlier. No one saw it.
Yes,
but
exactly.
We believe it.
It is funny though that for the EHLP, it came down to that game to determine who was going where. Both teams going into that game, of course, Adirondack and the Wolves knew they were both moving on, but the loser ended up at Trinity. Winner ended up at Plymouth State. So going to Trinity first, Adirondack versus 87s. It's funny that it's similar to the EHL in that when Adirondack and the 87s usually play every year, it's towards the very beginning of the year, right? So for Adirondack and the 87s, again, can we look at history or is just so much changed to where the teams are now? And is it, this is the whole at-large thing again, Jeff. Is it weird at all for Adirondack entering this round off of a loss?
Yeah, I mean, Jake made a really good point earlier as far as being battle tested with Adirondack, but that was a little different yesterday, right? Because again, like you said, they both knew they were gonna move on to the next round. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, this Adirondack team has suffered enough losses, right? These guys that have been there, Davidson and the gang that have been there in the past, they've seen enough losses in prior years too. So maybe you go back that far and say, hey, the last couple of years getting knocked out, not getting as far as we wanted. Now we're finally on the precipice of getting to the Frozen Finals. But it's cool because obviously with this new change this year, you're getting that college feel a little early. You're getting Trinity.
Yeah.
You're going to get that bright lights. You're going to get under the microscope with all the college coaches there. But I think Adirondack's ready. I think this is going to be a heck of a, just like the EHL. I think these series are going to be grinded out. Some low scoring too, between the, which you can't really say that usually between Adirondack, New Jersey, yeah, because they don't give up anything. Frankie Smith is a absolute machine. Also crazy too, or is it crazy? Maybe I pose a question to you guys that we haven't even seen McGillicuddy. It's just been Frankie Smith.
Yeah, it's I didn't even notice that, Jeff. I know that we did have some sickness or something going through a bunch of the teams, but we did kind of talk about this. I think on the awards show, you got the veteran and Smith being the 04, McGillicuddy being the 06. Yeah, they both played when
Hard.
these teams faced off October 19th and 20th. That's
Yep.
why it's so similar to the EHL, right? It's all the way back in October.
Yep.
They both played in that series up in Adirondack. So it'll probably feel like the way things are trending, Frankie Smith gets game one, but something to watch for
Okay.
again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think both teams will probably have some different guys on their roster than they did back in October or whenever that was. I mean, it was early in the season. It was 2 1-goal games, a shootout win for New Jersey, and then just regulation 2-1 win for Adirondack. So I don't think once again you could put too much stake in it. But for Adirondack, they have a bit of a bitter taste in their mouth. They scored the first goal of the game. They started to claw back at the end. They made it a 4-3 hockey game before they lost, and I mean they really took it to the Wolves in game 2. I think the ceiling for Adirondack is really high. I think they just ran into a Wolves team with the best line in the league, and they did what they do best, and they pretty much factored in on 5 of the 6 goals of the game. Cam Plum had a hat trick. Spoos had 5 points. Etienne Waugh scored a huge goal in the third. Like, those guys did what they needed to do. And honestly, so did the big guys for Adirondack. I mean, Mac Ryan had a hat trick, and they were assisted by his line mates. Gold Davidson was great. Parker was good. But yeah, I think their ceiling is super high, and they were all saying, I mean, we'll see you at Providence after. I know you have to feel that way, but like they were walking
Really?
Oh,
out and they were like, this is not the last time you'll see us. So
was there like,
Juicy.
were they discouraged or
No,
just
they were
like already
fine.
looking forward?
They were fine.
Did you
Like that.
how do you respond to that, Jake?
I don't
Okay?
know.
Question mark.
I think I'll just be like, maybe. I don't know.
And I can see you doing the all right, yeah, all right, gotta go. See you.
Mostly just a really
Bye.
fire dap up, Neil
Yes,
knows I have some really good dap ups.
true. You know what I do like though about this matchup, this regional final. Again, it's neutral site. We've covered that, but for these two teams, it really is meeting in the middle almost, right? So for Adirondack, they're 162 miles north of Trinity, and for the 87s, they're 169 south. Now, 87s because of traffic
Wow.
probably takes a little bit longer to get there, but we are meeting in the middle for this series. Really.
You
So
probably couldn't find a better rink. Like,
I
there
don't
probably isn't a better rink in existence. Yeah.
I don't think we could have. So,
On league staff.
getting there for 4 p.m. Like, yeah, you're coming kind of the same distance, and I'm sure for the 87s, it's great for them. They have one bus, both teams. I'm sure they'll drop the EHL team off, give them a rest, go to the rink. But what a way to kick things off when the puck drops on that game first, Adirondack versus 87s, because then we'll shift up to the Northeast final. That's not meeting in the middle. If anyone wants to look that up, that's not even close.
The Ox are going a little ways away from Tony Arena.
I think that Wolves could probably. This would be a great trivia question, Jeff. How many times could the Wolves go back and forth from Plymouth State to their rink while the Seahawks are driving from the Cape to Plymouth State?
Probably at least 2-3 times.
Oh, I think more like probably like 6 or 7 times.
You think so? That many? How close is Merrill Fay to Plymouth State?
27 miles. 27
it's like 30
miles.
minutes. Yeah. And then isn't the Seahawks trip like 3 hours?
Well, yeah, because you got to get off the Cape and then
like
go all the way up. You got to go through the hell of Boston. Yeah.
Have you found out what time the bus is leaving on Friday, Jake? For the Seahawks?
The Seahawks bus? I don't know, dude. I got the invite to go on it.
Yes. So the Seahawks are 186 miles away.
Oof,
right?
Wow.
So
trip.
If you did
that's the exact Neil. That is the exact number of how far my apartment is from my house in New York.
I will say we just laughed at Jeff. He's really not that far off. If you're going back and forth, it's like 54 miles, right? So if you do it 3 times, it's kind of close.
Jeff
but Jeff, they are going
Jeff
through.
knows travel. Jake knows puck.
But they are going through Boston, so that may like equal up to a fourth time.
Depends if someone gets Sturrowed. It depends if someone gets O'Neilled. It's like, you never know.
Don't go Sturrow. Yes, I would agree. Don't go
Sturrow. One of our buses, please. You cannot do Sturrow Drive.
I don't want that call on Friday.
Well, okay, so it is exactly 3 hours, like I said, from Tony Kent to Plymouth State, right?
Yeah,
and what is Merrill Fay is?
There's like 36.
That's 6. I'm right.
I'm talking about mileage, though. Like the mileage.
Mileage? You said how many times? You said how many times? Time is time. I'm getting hammered here, and I'm right.
The previous play is going under official review.
So I got this one right.
Jake knows puck and travel. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Jeff doesn't know beep.
JKPA. I mean, that's just getting longer and longer.
Too many.
I'm accumulating too much knowledge for the good of people. It's getting dangerous.
We talked about Clegg for the Capitals, 2 shutouts in a row. Here's Lykoff and Adams in the 87s. Will Rose, 3 shutouts in a row. Here are the Wolves. I asked this question.
Good luck.
I asked this question in the previous episode. He's at 180 minutes. Where does that number have to get to keep that consecutive shutout streak going? For you can say that they're the underdog in this series, right? The Wolves are the favorite. They're the underdog. Where does that number have to get to for the Seahawks to win this series?
At least get through the first period. I mean, he hasn't seen a lot of pucks either. 19, 19, and 29.
I would like it to be a quiet first period if I'm the Seahawks, but I trust the Seahawks depth. I really do. And if you look at the Express series, it wasn't the top guys that were getting goals for them. Timmy Vince-Loveman had the game winner in game 2, is the only goal of the game off like a crazy bounce. Like those are the playoff hockey goals that you're going to need to get. And Seahawks blue line is good. I think they have the best goalie remaining in the EHLP right now. I 100% actually. And they've won their series without their captain, Austin Bonebright, aka Captain Bone Bruise right now, because he's a little banged up. But they're hoping
Is that what they call him?
So they call
him. They do now.
They do. But he's a beauty, and he'll hopefully be back for this Plymouth State series. And he's a guy who put up 30 points in the regular season, and they're going to need him. And they also played the second series without Ryan McBride, who was a later addition that was nearly a point per game for them in the regular season. So they're getting guys back for this upcoming series. And then if you look at the top line, Jeff, you asked if Lowe and Rivera were going to be able to get through to Ben Ashton. They didn't need to. but now they're probably going to need to in this series, right?
Yeah.
So it's they'll be tested, and obviously the Seahawks will have their hands full with that top line. They are so fast, and they are so good.
We covered, what Will Rose has done, but we've also seen kind of the scoring differences in the EHLP, especially with the Wolves and how frequently they can score. Jeff, you mentioned this earlier for the Northeast. If you're hammering the under for the EHL series, should people get there early to possibly see the goals in the EHLP series?
That's Kamish. Hammer the over and the B. Hammer the under and the E.
If you want to watch goals, get there early. Go on saves, get there late. If you want to go to the hotel with an arcade, Jake has already told me that the hotel I put him in has an arcade. So
yes, I told Carson Lowe he and I are gonna race. I will give credit where credit is due. A little asterisk because of internet connectivity issues, but Carson Lowe's Chell team did beat the Long Island Lightning in the 3-game series.
Will you play at all while you're up there?
I'm breaking my Xbox, of course.
Okay.
But yeah, no, we won game 2. They won 1 and 3, but there was a major controversy in game 1. But it was Carson Lowe, Austin Bonebright, Norton Friedman. So I got to give them credit for beating the Long Island Lightning in at least one fair game.
Do we need to
What was the
talk about
controversy?
this
What
right
happened? Yeah. Can you dig that out for us? Don't
We
leave
played
us on
Chell.
it. No, what was the controversy?
Oh, that was just the internet issues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Of whose it was?
We had a big handicap for the first like 20 mintes of the game. So they were able to
You
take
guys were like
advantage.
tiling when I turned in. I was like, what is this? It was like,
No, I know. We couldn't even stream. It was going to be electric. The whole world was going to be watching.
So now I know if Mikey needs to get back to the hotel quickly, is he bringing his Xbox to Trinity also?
I'll tell him to.
If you guys are both like street, like I will watch then.
Well, we could stay up late.
Neil will have a frosty beverage in his hand and he will watch.
The games don't start till 4:30 on Saturday.
Yeah.
So we could have like a slumber party actually.
Find it out.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen that time of night in a while though, because I have kids and they put me to sleep because I have to get up early. But
this
I'll do my
weekend is
best.
the weekend. Me, you, Carson Lowe, arcade 2 a.m.
Wow. I'm gonna miss this one.
I'm gonna get a call, Jeff, from like the Seahawks coaching staff. Can you please separate your league staff from my team? It's past curfew.
Or Allen's gonna be like, Neil, bro, what are we doing? Like Richard. Hey, Neil.
I love this. But obviously, 2 great series in the EHL, 2 great series in the EHLP. Just like in the EHL, you could make that same graphic of all the potential Providence matchups, right? I mean, after what was one of the best games in Providence last year, wouldn't it feel inevitable to get Wolves versus 87s again, right? I covered this I think in the awards show, right? Seahawks Adirondack. Seahawks shut out Adirondack at the Phillies showcase. Imagine if they both got 2 Providence. You could see any one of the possible matchups. And I think that's what makes this weekend's regional finals awesome, is that, yeah, there's probably favorites. That, the Wolves won the EHLP regular season title. They're probably the favorite against the Seahawks, but anybody can win and anybody can punch their ticket.
Neil, would you say mission accomplished by yourself, as far as like you've created 2, you wanted like 2 like not mini, we don't want to say mini, especially like the showcases, 2 big regionals, like kind of split up. Would you say job well done, mission succeeded?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in finding a true playoff champion, right? Like, I hate when teams get crowned champion and the first thought I have as a fan is they won the tournament, not the playoffs, right? And I think that's where it's like, you want to find a playoff champion. Here's how you find a playoff champion. And like, I know I had my NCAA rant last week, and I don't want to go down that path again. Even though I have a lot to say, because Penn State finished in 4th place in the Big Ten, but somehow is in the Frozen Four because they were given the host treatment. But that's like if anyone wants to know why we're going to a neutral site, like, that's why.
Did you hear how loud it was when they scored?
Yeah,
I was like, is this at Penn State? Oh no, Allentown. Like, what?
And like, we have an alumni coach there. George Lewis is the director of operations for Penn State. Like, I'm jacked for him, and him and I were texting the other day. Like, Yeah, did I grow up a Maine fan and wanted to see Maine win? Of course, but I think the NCAA is so archaic in their like ways of like, this is what we've done for 30 years. Why do we ever change it, right? But you want to find a playoff champion, like create something that allows you to find that playoff champion. And this is how you do it. You go to a neutral site. Like the Avalanche and Express were so tightly contested all season long. Why don't you go now prove that you're the better team at Plymouth State? And in a year from now, if I could find the right venue for the Northeast that's more like east, because this year it's definitely more north, right? Like you're in New Hampshire, right? If I could find the right Boston rink where it's more east, I think that would be the perfect balance of bouncing back and forth from these regionals. But it's not like we chose to host the regionals at, I don't know, Boston Sports Institute, and we said, hey, Eagles, you finished in 4th place. You get to host everything now, right? I mean, that's what they did for Penn State. Like,
that's a good point. You're right. That is
and I'm sorry. And there's leagues that will not be named, but the finals are in a rink for another league that a team did not finish in 1st place in their division. Like, I'm sorry. Do you want to find a tournament champion or do you want to find a playoff champion? Like, when I hand off that trophy behind me, I want to feel like the best team in the league won. And obviously, in hockey, sometimes it can be the hottest team that wins at the end of the season. But I just feel like when you look at what happened in the NCAA, that's just if everything in hockey is just one game, anything can happen. Look how many series we've had in the first 2 rounds where the team that won game 1 didn't win the series.
Cornell, Michigan State, that goes 3 games. You think Cornell wins 3?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But and if the team if the team that wins game 1 wins the series, then so be it. But hockey's meant to be a series, right? Like,
it's meant to grind it out. It's like it's a war. It's intense. It's different.
And we're probably not going to get to like the Canada level where they do best of 7 series. I think that's probably like a little bit much. Too much.
3 to 5 is good though.
I mean, if the Seahawks and Express EHL played a best of 7 series, and the over-under for goals in the series was 10, that probably would feel right? Because they score like 1 goal a game, the 2 teams, but that would be a dogfight. That would be an absolute war. That would be at the end of game 7, like teams crawling off the ice to see if they could like make it to the locker room.
Yeah, they were gassed after 2, so
but
7 would be a lot.
But it was still a series. It wasn't 1. I mean, there's 2 or 3 NCAA Division III conferences out west that do 2-game series with a mini game. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but like the conference that Jack Bosher's in with the Express, the WIAC, they play game 1, game 2. If it's tied 1-1, they resurface the ice and then they play a 20-minute like mini game 3. So it's not sudden victory, as Jake already brought up earlier, right? You play the 20-minute period. If one team wins that game 3 20-minute period, all right, it's over. If it's tied, then they go to the sudden victory, whatever they call it, right? It's still better than 1. It's still better. Like you're still getting the better team winning that series, in my opinion. So I come off my soapbox. I went to Ravin's rants early. and listen, I got to rant again now.
I liked it. You gave me a nice detailed answer to my question.
I gotta get to my rant now about fantasy because I choked again this year, but the right champion has won in the eShow Fantasy Challenge.
Now it's time for the eShow Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app, available now for free on both Apple iOS and Android.
And of course, that right champion, we've talked about his name at length this year, guys. Patrick Johnston, who won not 1 but 2 months, then got the bye, obviously, in the play-in round of EHL Fantasy, ripped through the first round, beats Kai and Klee in the second round. Golf clap to Patrick Johnston. I mean, he was the best of the best at fantasy this year.
He knows puck.
Yes. PJKP. That's the sweatshirt right there. That's the t-shirt right there.
Yeah, what a performance from him. That's some crazy. That's Wolves P level stuff from Patrick.
Well, it actually came down to that last game too. If Adirondack had won that game, Kai and Klee would have come back to beat him. So
Wow. Oh my goodness.
He had the right picks at the right time, and probably gonna ask him to take October off of next year just to give somebody else a chance to win. I don't.
Please, thank you. We'll see you. I
don't-
don't know. Just come in like late in the year, Patrick.
Yeah,
You're good.
like honestly, give us a 2-month head start, right? Take October and November off. Then
Yeah,
we can
see you
jump
for
in
like
into
December showcase. Yep.
Yes.
Next
See you
year is my
Christmas.
year, fellas. Next year is my year.
Which month, Jake?
I don't know.
No, I
May.
want to put it on. You say May?
May.
We don't
May.
play in
Off
May.
season. Off
Yeah,
season.
that's fine. I know.
Combine. Woo.
Oh man.
No, you
All right.
said I went to Plymouth State. Not only because I went to Laconia yesterday only because of the game, because of the sandwich, but if Adirondack won, there's a chance I didn't get to see everybody's favorite EHLP captain again.
Yeah.
So there's the real reason why
I
So
love
is
that
it-
interview with all three of them, Jake. That was something. Watching your energy
They're
with
cool guys.
Spikuza,
I cannot
Etienne
wait for Jake's October fantasy picks when the next season begins. I think we all know who he's picking in October. You didn't pick him in this October, and that really bit you in the butt.
Yeah, he would have. Yes, yeah.
Ooh.
He'll never let me live that one down.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to know who Jake is picking to start next season, there it is. But we'll wrap this episode up now with what to watch for.
And now here's what to watch for in the EHL and the E EHLP.
So I'm not going to ask you guys to pick
the games.
hey, what to
I
watch
got it
for.
for us. Hey, I mean,
Everything, right?
Watch it all.
And we kind of already covered X factors a little bit, but let's just toss out one name apiece from any team that could have the biggest impact on this weekend.
ooh,
Any level.
Thunderwood. Someone we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, interesting that Christopher Richard isn't in the net. He's only played one game here in the playoffs after playing a whole boatload during the regular season. 23 of them went 21 and 1 in the regular season. So an interesting change. But again, like we said, Andrew Trimble knows more than we do. We talked about this with Coach Sorella and his matchups as far as with Seagrave and Gerard and the whole rounds thing. So maybe Coach Trimble knows something. Obviously he does that we don't. So yeah, is Sumner Wood going to get the start, or does he go back to Christopher Richard?
Yeah.
So kind of a 2-name combo there.
I'll double down on P show. Jimmy Albert, Seahawks defenseman, kind of like a quieter, steadier presence on the blue line, but against the Wolves and their speed, I think he's going to have to be really solid. He was the best, besides Will Rose, he was the best player on the ice in game 2 of the Seahawks Express series. He flattened some players on the Express, his stick was disrupting everything. I think that's for me, that's my style of hockey player, just a hard to play against D-man. So I'll go Jimmy Albert.
Now that I asked this question, I realize I shouldn't have asked this question, guys, because I have no idea who to pick. At the same time, I think we've learned this postseason that literally everything we say on this podcast gets listened to. Jake, we've learned that the hard way. I think.
The Seahawks were upset with you and Jeff for saying they were gonna have trouble scoring on Ben Ashton, and then Carson Lowe responds by scoring 0 goals on Ben Ashton.
F you, Neil and Jeff.
And then
he was best.
We had Coach Bartholomew from Philly Hockey Club playing our audio. Jake, I mean, now I have to pick one guy, I'm gonna pull a Jeff here. I want to pick 8 guys so that every team gets picked.
Like Golden Retriever Club, bud.
But I will go with a veteran, and I think leaders lead at this time of year.
Yes,
and I could still picture the goal in my head from Providence last year from Jake Hines. And I'm not saying that they're gonna win the series automatically, but I could still picture that double overtime winner that kept the team alive. And I'm thinking Jake Hines could be a huge factor in this weekend. But really, anybody can be, right? We covered Colin Gabriel, who had one empty net goal going into that Seahawks series, and he scores the only goal in game 1 to propel the Express to a game 1 victory and help them win that series. So there's going to be some name that pops up for us this weekend who isn't the usual scorer, who makes a big play, and gets his team out of the regional finals into the Frozen Finals, and another neutral site that everybody is used to, right? Providence. And I just think once we get there, for the teams that do get there, it's going to feel even sweeter. Just the path they went on to get there this year compared to previous years. It's always been hard to get there, but you can make the case that this is the hardest season ever to get to Snyder Arena and get to see Jeff. We don't get to see you for a while this year in the postseason.
I know.
Jeff.
It takes a little too long. I gotta declutter my schedule.
But the voice, I as long as the voice is ready,
It will. Hopefully the allergies are under control by then.
Yeah, as soon as
pollen's kill me.
As soon as that first starting lineup, comes out, I'll be excited.
Love it. I love that I get to just turn and see you guys all smiling next to me, and makes me all warm.
You stay like laser focused. Like I would need to be like in like a booth, like where like people couldn't see me, I couldn't see them.
Really?
Like how do you not get distracted?
I don't know. I've done it so long. Going back to how many games I've done it for so long that it just kind of, you almost like black out in a way. Like you just kind of like get like in this, I don't know, like maybe like a goalie type zone where I just kind of, boom. It's like,
yeah,
it goes, mic turns on, there I go.
Yeah, that's like Jake on Twitch. So
Follow me at Bathtub Jake.
Yeah, he's pretty good, but not when he has no internet. So.
Oh my God! Yeah, no. Well, I want to turn it into a 7-game series, and we'll win in 6. There's no doubt about that.
I love it. So for those that can make it out to the regional finals this weekend, I look forward to seeing everyone. I know there's a lot of parents coming. I've already received some emails from parents looking forward to meeting you. I get called the E Show a lot, or the E Show podcast. That's how people like know us, Jake. Hey, it's the E Show podcast. It's like
yeah, the EHL guy. It's great, dude. I love it. I don't want to be Jake. Jake's a dork. I'll be the EHL guy any day of the week.
If you can't make it to either regional, though, we obviously have everything on Flow Hockey. Great broadcast teams in both locations. We got the full Frozen Finals coverage, in both locations, and we'll record this again next week, guys, when we have just 4 teams left. 2 apiece going to province, and I can't wait to see who those 2 teams are in each division.
Good luck, boys.
Thanks for listening to The E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.